Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a video on the Lawsy channel, and today we are back with one player your Premier League team should sign this summer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already subscribed to this channel, please make sure you subscribe, like and comment and help me reach my goal of subscribers by the end of the year, because fingers crossed we can do it. But we're back on the grind, so let's jump into this straight away. So to be honest with you, I haven't wrote loads of information down. I just feel like a lot of football fans who watch a video, when you say position, I think it's self-explanatory. You know this team needs this position. So we're going to start with Arsenal. Could have went with a striker, but I've actually went for a defensive midfielder. They've been linked with a lot of defensive midfielders and strikers. I mean, they've been linked with Alexander Isak from Newcastle. It's not happening. He's not going. I'll make sure of that. They've been linked with Bruno. Not going. Not happening. I won't allow it. But one player that I do think would be a great signing for Arsenal, from seeing a few games, I haven't seen lots of games of him, I've seen highlights, and I've seen about 2 live games of him this season. It's Martin Zubamendi from Real Sociedad. I think he's a very good player. I think he would bring a lot to Arsenal's midfield. And I think obviously they've got Partey back, he's staying fit. Add Martin Zubamendi to that as well. I mean, gives them more options to rotate around the team. I think this could be a very, very good signing for the Arsenal. Also, Arsenal could win the Premier League this year. Let me know in the comment section if you think Arsenal beat Man City to the Premier League title on Sunday. Moving on to Aston Villa now. And with Aston Villa, I kind of struggled to think who they could go for. And I went with one where I think a lot of people will disagree with this signing, but he's a very good player. I went with Anthony Robinson from Fulham. I think he's had a fantastic year at left back. I think Villa are going to kind of want a player more that is a left back that drops into centre back. But I just think Alex Moreno, he hasn't been that good this year. I think Digne struggled at times. I think Anthony Robinson, he's a great defensive fullback, and he can attack as well. So I think that could be a good option for Aston Villa. I don't know how much it would cost them. I would say maybe 20 million upwards, but I think it would be a good signing for Aston Villa. And of course, they've just got themselves in the Champions League. Moving on next, we have Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth need a goalkeeper. I think Neto's 35, coming on 36. Got Mark Travers. I don't think Mark Travers is the right starting keeper for Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth have been superb this year yet again. Really, really good under Areola. And I've actually went for a goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper is called Kepa. A bit of a weird one. I mean, Kepa went on loan to Real Madrid. I think he's played a few times. Obviously, he's been held out of the team by Lunen's fantastic form. One of the most expensive goalkeepers in the world at one time. And I just think, I mean, he's not going to play for Chelsea because Petrovic has been insane. I think Chelsea could sign a goalkeeper. And they've also got Robert Sanchez. I mean, I think Kepa's a great, I think he'd be a great player for Bournemouth. I really think he could find and rediscover some form at Bournemouth. Spanish manager as well, and if the fans can get behind him, show him a bit of love, I think Kepa could be going to be a really good keeper for Bournemouth, and that's why I went with Kepa Arrizabalaga, because I think that's how you pronounce it, and I think he would be a player that kind of cheap. Like, I think you would get him for less than 10 million, if I'm being honest with you. And I don't know if when his contract comes to an end, but I know he's returning back to Chelsea at the end of the season, so why not? Next, we'll move on to Brighton. For Brighton, I've put a defensive midfielder in there because I do think they need that. I think Baleba, it's his first season, he's young. I just think that they need someone who's got a bit of quality. Brighton. I went with Morten Humland from Sporting, at the Danish CDM. I think he's Danish. 3 goals, 2 assists in 29 games this year. Was it 29 or 30? Or 34. Either way, he's a fantastic player. Haven't watched him live, but I've seen a lot of TikToks of him, TikTok compilations, and he looks like a fantastic player. I think Brighton lack having a defensive midfielder, and I think Humland could be a very good option for Robert De Zerbi's team. And you can see, I mean, from his stats, 3 goals, 2 assists. I mean, he can get a few goals, he can get a couple of assists, and I think this is what Brighton need. So, will they get him? I mean, is going from Sporting to Brighton, is it possible? You could argue it, but I mean, Ansu Fati went on loan to Brighton, so I mean, I don't see why not. Next, we're going on to Brentford, and this one, I could get slated for this one, to be honest with you, and I'm going on the basis if Brentford lose Ivan Toney. I went with Brian Brobbery from Ajax. What a fantastic year he's had. 29 games, 18 goals, 10 assists in the Eredivisie. I think he's a very, very talented striker. And I think Brentford are very, very good at, like, like they've got players like Tony, and they've brought Tony on from Peterborough all the way up to the Premier League, and obviously credit to Ivan Toney's been fantastic as well. But I feel like this could be a good move for Brian Brobbery. Get himself to the Premier League, see what you can do. I mean, if you have a fantastic egg, you can get picked up by a big club. And why not come test yourself in the Premier League? I mean, I do have my reservations over this one. I mean, do you really want to go from Ajax to Brentford? Probably not. But I mean, it's just an option I threw out there. I mean, a bit of talking, a bit of money. Can you persuade him to come over? Who knows? But that's who I have put for Brentford. Next, we're going on to Chelsea. I'm just going to keep this one nice and swift with you guys. I went with Victor Osimhen. I think I've always believed Chelsea will be Osimhen's next club. I have for a couple of years now. I think Osimhen said he's leaving, and I think I'm sure he's a Chelsea fan as well. So nice. I just swiftly moving on. Osimhen to Chelsea. Next, we're going on to Palace. Palace love a brilliant Championship player, and Adam Wharton, Elise, Eze. I mean, even some players have brought that weren't getting game time, like Mark Gui from Chelsea brought him in. And they got a really good player from Fulham, Joachim Andersen, when they got relegated. Very, 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 very good recruitment. I've been really impressed with Adam Wharton this season as well. I would say Gabriel Sara from Norwich. What a player Sara is. And if Palace can get a hold of him with Ollie Glasner, what a manager and what a season Palace have had since Glasner's come in. Beating Newcastle 2-0, beating Man United 4-0, beating Liverpool at Anfield 1-0. They've been fantastic, and they've played some fantastic football as well. And that's why I'm going with Gabriel Sara. I mean, I do feel like Palace need a midfielder, and I think Gabriel Sara could be a good option. I think he's too good for the Championship, and he needs to make that push. I mean, Norwich are in a playoff semi-final to play tonight against Leeds. See what happens there. But I do think Leeds will go to the playoff final, so I do think they'll stop Norwich tonight. So we'll see what happens. But Gabriel Sara for Palace, I could see that happen. Next, moving on to Everton. Everton was a hard one. I wanted a left back for Everton, and I couldn't really find a left back that I thought, I mean, you could go in, because they've got Mykolenko and they've been playing Ashley Young. I mean, Ashley Young, you can't really rely on Ashley Young. Mykolenko, he's alright. I think he's a bit inconsistent. So I do think they need a left back, but I went for a winger that can play on the right and on the left, and I went with Karim Atakoglu. He's a tricky winger, Turkish, 12 goals, 6 assists in the Superliga this season. I think he's a very, very good player, and I do think it would be a good signing for Everton. I don't know how much money they'll be able to spend with the FFP they've had against them, but I mean, if they can get a hold of Karim Atakoglu, I think that would be a great, great signing for them. Moving on now, guys, to Nottingham Forest. I went for a right back, because they're going to be losing Gabriel Montiel on loan, a World Cup winner. I went with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I don't know if this will happen. I mean, I think Nottingham Forest have struggled a bit defensively this year. I mean, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is very good defensively. I think it'd be a good move for both parties. I think the Nottingham Forest would benefit off Wan-Bissaka, and I also think Wan-Bissaka would benefit off Nottingham Forest starting week in, week out. Because to be honest with you, I don't see Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing many games for Man United next season now. I think obviously with the new owners and stuff, I think we'll spend a bit of money and recruit right this year. So I don't really think Wan-Bissaka's going to play that much. I think Forest would be a great move for him. I mean, when he was at Crystal Palace, he was amazing. And I think he could rediscover that sort of form at Forest, where the expectation isn't so big at all. But I mean, I could be wrong, but I think this would be a good move for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Moving on now to Leicester City. Leicester, I mean, they're keeping Fatawu, so I won't say him because that is boring. I think they need a striker. I think they need a lot of positions. But I've went for a centre-back. And I don't know how much Leicester will have to spend, because I know they've had a few problems where they're going to might start with point deduction and stuff. But I've went with Nikola Milinkovic from Fiorentina. I mean, what a great season Milinkovic is having. He's a top defender. I think if you can come into Leicester, establish yourself as a Premier League centre-back, keep Leicester in the league, and Leicester can build and build and build from there. Because Leicester have everything behind them. You know, they can spend money when they're not in FFP problems. They've got the best training ground in England. Got a good stadium, got a good fans. And Leicester in the Champions League, Europa League, Cup final winners a few years ago. I mean, he can take Leicester right up to the very top. And I think Nikola Milinkovic, I mean, he can play out from the back. I think he would suit Maresca's style of play. And I think if they can prize him away from Fiorentina, great move for Leicester City. Next, going to Man City. I think this one's destined to happen. I think his 85 million release clause will be triggered. It's Lucas Paqueta, one of the best midfielders around for me, personally, at this moment in time. I think he would be fantastic for Man City. I think Man City will sign him. And that's all I've got to say on Lucas Paqueta, really. But let's move on to the other Manchester club now. Manchester United. For me, they need a lot. They do need a lot of position. So I could make a whole video, and I might make a whole video talking about Manchester United and what they need and what I think they need and where they can go with the style of play. I might actually do that as my next video. Let me know in the comment section below. But I've went for Xavi Simons. What a year! Well, what a 2 years he's had. Obviously, this season he's been on loan to Leipzig. He's been fucking amazing. And he might not want to go back to PSG. And what a signing this could be. This will be a boost to Man United. You can play on the left as well. You know, Rashford might not be there. You can play in the centre. And I mean, if Man United can get their hands on Xavi Simons, because he could be available, I mean, why not? Why not? Because you don't want to miss out on players like this. I think Xavi Simons could generally be one of the best players around in the next couple of years. So I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, if Man United could get him, then fair play. And obviously, Dutch connections in the club, Ten Hag, Malacia, wherever the fuck he is. I think, why not? Why bloody not? But next, go to my team, Newcastle United. I mean, Newcastle, my team, are set to bring in Lloyd Kelly and Tosin Adebayo as free agents. I think good signings for her as well. Free, can't go wrong. Helps a bit with FFP as well. Even if we get one of them, it'd be good, but I do really want two. If you ask us who I want the most out of Lloyd Kelly and Tosin, I think it's a bit of a flip of a coin. I think I would say Tosin. But I would take both of them. I would take one of them. But I think Newcastle should sign a right winger. And for me, I was going to say I'll take a gamble with this one. But is it really a gamble because of the year he's had? It's Crysencio Somerville from Leeds. My cousin's a Leeds fan. He spoke about Somerville. He says he's an amazing player. He just texted forth saying he thinks he'll go to a Champions League team. I hope not. I hope he comes to Newcastle. I think he's got 19 league goals this year with a lot of assists. What a season he's had. I mean, I'm getting sick of watching Jacob Murphy and Miguel Almiron play on the right. I mean, I do like the players. I don't got anything against them, but sometimes I just feel like if I had a bit more quality on that right hand side, would do a lot more. I mean, everything usually right now is coming through our left. I mean, Murphy has got a great cross on at times. He's got some great assists this season, and I still think he's got a part to play at Newcastle if it's been on the bench and starting a few games. But I think if we can get someone quality on that right, I think that would be great for her. And I think Crysencio Somerville would be great competition for Jacob Murphy because I do think Miguel Almiron will leave this summer. So, I mean, let's hope. I would be absolutely delighted if we get Lloyd Kelly, Tosin and Somerville in, but that cannot be. We need to make more signs than that Newcastle to come on. And Ipswich Town next. I mean, Amari Hutchinson. It's 2 words. It's just Amari Hutchinson, and he's fantastic. And I think Ipswich do need to keep him and try and bring him back to the club. I mean, I think he will be able to do it in the Premier League. Obviously, he's at Chelsea. I mean, I don't know how much it'll take to get him back. I mean, it might be another loan spell. Who knows? But I mean, I think Ipswich will have I think Ipswich will stay up. I really like the football, the play. I mean, what a commendable job Kieran McKenna has done at Ipswich. And I would love to see them stay up, as I say. But they have got some recruitment to do, and they've got to do some very smart recruitment. And I do think they will have a good go at staying up. So let's hope they can. But next we'll move on to Fulham. And Fulham fans, I don't know how you'd feel about this, but I personally believe you need a right midfielder. I don't think Harry Wilson's your man. And I don't think Adama Traore is your man. I would have, if it was a few months ago, I would have said striker. But right now, I'm going to say a right winger called Amad Diallo from Manchester United. He scored a great goal against Newcastle last night. I still think keeper should have saved it, and it was poor defending. But I think Diallo now needs to play big football matches like Premier League and play it regularly. I mean, he's just only started playing for Man United. I mean, I know he said he's injury struggles this year, but even if it's a loan to Fulham, but I think we should try and bring a player like him on a permanent. I mean, it's a great move for Fulham, but a great move for Diallo, and I think Fulham need a right winger that can score goals, and I think Ahmed has proved when he was on loan at the Mackhams that he can score goals. And now for Man U, he's scoring goals as well, and big goals, like scoring against Newcastle last night, and also scoring against Liverpool in the FA Cup. So, I mean, it'd be a good move for him. Next, we're going on to Wolves. Wolves up in for a right back, because I think Nelson Semedo's getting on a bit now. I think Matt Doherty could leave. I went with Ben Johnson from West Ham. I know Gary O'Neill said the other day that Wolves won't have a lot of money to spend. I don't know if it's Ben Johnson's contract's coming to an end or he's going to be going into his last year of the contract, so you would be able to get him at a cheaper price than usual. A cheaper price than usual. And I think Ben Johnson would be a good player for Wolves. And I have seen the links, and he's English. Gary O'Neill. I think Gary O'Neill would be able to get the best of him because what a great job he's done this year. I think it could be a right step in the career for Ben Johnson because I think he's been unlucky to not play a few games over Kufal and stuff. But I mean, I think Ben Johnson would take a move to Wolves. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, I think when I went for Forest, I went with Wan-Bissaka, and I went for Ben Johnson for Wolves. I think you could put them. I think you could play with both them. I think like Wan-Bissaka going to Wolves and even Ben Johnson going to Forest would be a great move for both players. That's all I've really got to say on that. But I would like to see Ben Johnson do well. I have got a soft spot for Ben Johnson because of an FM save I did. He scored a FA Cup winning goal for us, so love you, Ben Johnson. Next, we're going on to Spurs. Spurs need a striker. They've been playing Son up front. I mean, it's died off at the end of the year. I think the criticism Spurs are getting, I think some of it's harsh, but I think some of it's warranted. I've got into Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord. What a great season he's had. I think he'd be a fantastic player for Tottenham. And I think they've obviously missed Harry Kane because they've scored goals, Spurs, but I feel like with the way Ange plays and the crosses that Spurs put in the box, I think a big physical player like Santiago Jimenez who can finish will be on the end of that. And even if he can get like 10, 15, 20 goals to Spurs, that's going to lift them into Champions League in my opinion. And I think that's what they've lacked a bit this year, something big, because Son, he's fantastic. He can do it off the left. He can do it up. He can just about do it up front, but I think you need Son on the left. You need Santiago Jimenez up front, and then Ben Johnson on the right. Plus, if they sign anyone else, but and Kulusevski as well. But I mean, some of the crosses you've put in, it just felt a no one. I'm thinking Ben Johnson's always putting brilliant balls in the box, and Timo Werner's always hitting them over the bar. So Santiago Jimenez put the ball in his head, put the ball in his foot, and he's putting it in the back of the net if he's got that opportunity to score. I think he's a very clinical player. I think he would cost you around about 50 million plus. I think he's that good. But I think Spurs would benefit from having the Santiago Jimenez. Next, we're moving to Liverpool. I feel like Liverpool need a goal scorer. Someone who's young, because I think Liverpool's front three, I think Gakpo, Jota, Nunes, I've got a lot of players. Diaz, I mean, I don't think, and Salah as well. I don't know if Salah will go, I don't know if Salah will stay, but I feel like Liverpool need a goal scorer. I feel like Gakpo plays up front one week, Jota will play up front one week. I just think they need a striker. And for me, new manager coming in on his slot, I think Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig would be a great signing for Liverpool. I think he would score goals. I think he could end up being the main man for Liverpool. And what a sign it would be going from RB Leipzig, being Leipzig's main men this year, to being Liverpool's main men. I think that's a great move for him. And I think you'd really relish the challenge, Benjamin Sesko. I mean, how much would he cost you? I'm unsure. Probably 40, 50 million plus. Probably 50 million plus. But if Liverpool want a goal scorer, because Nunes can't do it, Benjamin Sesko is your man, I promise. And next, we're going to go on to West Ham. If you're wondering, you've missed one of the promotion teams out, just when I'm recording this video, the second leg of the playoff finals is going to be played tonight. I believe it'll be Leeds or Southampton that'll come up. Personally, I want West Brom to come up just because I think it made pitch side interesting, but I do like West Brom. But I mean, if it was for Leeds, and so I don't know who I'd even say it's saying at the moment, to be honest with you. I need to see what happens in these playoffs. Might make a video dedicated to the playoff winner. So we'll have a little look at that. But West Ham is the last team I'll do, and it's El Nassri from Sevilla. I've been linked with them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times in the past. It's not happened. West Ham need a goal scorer. I mean, Bowen scores a lot of goals for West Ham. But I mean, I think they do need that striker now. I mean, Antonio is getting on a bit. I don't think he's the man that should take West Ham forward. I think El Nassri would be a great man to take Lopetegui's, because Lopetegui's going to be the West Ham manager. Lopetegui's West Ham forward, and I think that would be a great addition to West Ham's front line. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave comments in the comment section of what videos you'd like to see next, football wise and stuff, and other videos as well. But thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe and comment, and my famous last words, I'll see you in the next one.